sometimes in a positive, evolutionary, creative process. They make suggestions and amendments. Everybody's very sort of literary and smart. But I'm quite pleased that we have snuck into the film references from Charles Dickens, from Samuel Pepys, and from William Shakespeare, but all quite sort of under the radar, but happily so, and in collaboration with everybody at Disney too.
Great pleasure. Which was more challenging, playing the mother of Lincoln, political figure, or the perfect stepmother that is, let's say, hated by 1 billion people?
So the mother of Lincoln?
Yeah.
Did you play the mother of Lincoln?
I played the mother of Lincoln?
Maybe you're doing next year.
Oh.
No.
I don't know.
Oh.
There was a film here and you were there.
Was I?
Yeah.
Well, clearly it was not a memorable experience. So I'd have to say Lady Tremaine was the bigger challenge.
Okay, your question, please, on the right side.
I'm Juliane Primus from Berlin newspaper BZ. I have a question for Kate Blanchett. What means the Festival Berlinale for you compared with other film festivals, and how do you like Berlin? Have you favorite places here? What are you doing here if you have free time?
I love Berlin. I was here over Christmas for about 5 or 6 weeks with my family. And any chance I get to come to the city, it's really interesting coming to a city which is its main product. It's kept alive. Its economy is buoyant from the abundance of culture. And I think when you go to any city which is purely based on monetary transactions, it's not a city where people want to live. And I think everyone wants to live in Berlin. But I think the Berlinale was one of the first film festivals I went to. And you have room 101 is that torturous room that we all went into. It seems silent, and then there's 10,000 photographers behind the door, which is it's probably the strangest room I have ever entered into in my entire life. So yes, that's always a special pleasure coming to the festival and experiencing that.
It's also a pleasure to have you here again. Bitte schön. Your question here on the left.
Hello, I come from Albania. I want to thank you, everybody, because you make us dream again with this movie. And my question is for the director. Why did you choose this story? Because when you choose a story that everybody knows, there is a risk. How did you manage the balance between comicity, romance, and kindness? Thank you.
I think that when a story is very familiar, and in this case, when you have the lineage that as Anatole was saying, had the original animated Disney movie have its opening here 65 years ago, we constantly hear references to Cinderella stories. This title is referred to in the discussion of other narratives so often. It starts the process of making you wonder exactly why that is the case. Why does it hang on? What is the glue that keeps it in our consciousness? And that was the process of working on the film. That was what was exciting about it. So across various conversations, I remember the first conversation with Kate, we talked about that, but we also remember you saying that you were very interested in it as a sidebar, as a part of that, cruelty between women was something that you brought up as a subject. Helly was talking about the idea of people not necessarily being as good at magic as they might pretend they are, and that there might be some fun to be had of that, so it needn't quite be so smooth. And then with Lily and Richard, this idea of trying to make the prince a sort of a charismatic complement to Cinderella, necessary, someone who earns the right to her affection, and where both meet not knowing who the other is and on equal terms, that all of these things are part of what kept it interesting, that it was somehow welded to this story that we still seem interested in, where we want to identify with her, we want things to work out, we're very cynical about happy ever after endings in life, and yet we wish to be inspired. And so how would we find that in a Cinderella story here and now? Well, it had to come from the inside out, and for a situation where if circumstances can't change, people live in cruel or deprived circumstances, maybe internally there can be a change, there can be a victory of the spirit. All of this stuff sounds very highfalutin, but in Cinderella, you know, it's possible that the myth has hung around across every culture, across thousands of years, because it is flexible.